to grow the sport and showcase what it has on a national stage. Penske Corporation President Bud Denker told Fox 59 he's in charge of the event.
We've already achieved over $500 million in earned media value.
The race gets underway at 1 o'clock Sunday. The 147-lap race runs along Pennsylvania Avenue near the National Mall. President Trump expected to wave the green flag. Before that, him and his wife, First Lady Melania Trump, will take a lap around the course. A woman is dead after police responded to an area not too far from East 38th and North Browse Avenue late Friday night. Officers found the woman had been involved in a crash, took her to the hospital. That's where she died. A Mexican rapper in Indianapolis having his plea agreement denied by a judge.
The judge is rejecting the plea from Brian Camacho Calleja, who's charged in the OWI crash that killed Aaron Radford in downtown Indy back in September. Calleja wanted to plead guilty to 2 charges. One is causing death when operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. Charges, including reckless homicide, would have been dismissed if the plea deal was accepted by the judge, but it wasn't. A new trial date for Calleja has been set for November 30th. He is in the U.S. illegally and could be deported if convicted.
I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. Now your forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
For tonight, partly cloudy. There is a chance for a patchy fog to develop overnight with a low near 61. And for tomorrow, partly cloudy skies with a very weak shower chance in place. It will be slightly cooler. I am Fox 59 meteorologist Amber Hardwick for 93 WIBC.
This is a message from the Office of the Indiana Attorney General.
Stop by the Indiana State Fair. We'll help you search indianaunclaimed.gov for forgotten money, like old paychecks, refunds, insurance payments, bank accounts, or stocks. This year alone, we've already returned more than $70 million, but there's still nearly $1 billion waiting to be claimed. So stop by August 7th through the 23rd or visit indianaunclaimed.gov. We'd love to help you find what's yours.
Find the Indiana Attorney General booth in the Mercantile Building all fair long.
At Duke Energy, we're making Indiana's energy grid stronger and more resilient, ready for storms and growing energy demands. We're adding more power to the Indiana grid. We're using new innovations and smart technology to restore outages faster. And we're doing it all in cost-efficient ways to keep bills as low as possible while we serve you with reliable energy. Duke Energy, building a smarter energy future. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
At Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing, we've got you covered. We're here for all your cooling needs. So call us today. Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing, where coming home never felt so good.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. We're thrilled you're with us. A lot to talk about. As I mentioned, co-hosting with Nigel yesterday on the Hammer and Nigel Show, I want to again send our very best wishes, yes, and thoughts and prayers to everyone still dealing with the horrific floods we had here in central Indiana this week. I want to remind people that WIBC has a great fundraiser going on, which you can access on the WIBC website. If you go to WIBC.com, it's called Help in the Heartland. And this is done in conjunction not only with Radio 1, our parent company here at WIBC, but Fox 59 with CBS 4, Kroger, and the American Red Cross. And Kroger is even offering some matching funds associated with this. So listen, not all of us can get out necessarily and help with cleanup or deliver food or other provisions to people who need it, but we can all donate a little bit of money. And if that's an option for you, if that's something that you can do, I encourage everybody to do that. Just go to WIBC.com, click on Help in the Heartland, and let's help our fellow Hoosiers right here. All the money stays in Indiana. It's administered by the American Red Cross, so you know it's a legitimate organization that's going to get money where it's most needed. And anybody can do that. You get a great big thank you from me. speaking of Hammer and Nigel, I was on there yesterday, and Nigel brought up a news article and a statistic that just stopped me dead in my tracks. And if you listened to Hammer and Nigel yesterday while I co-hosted, you heard some of this. But I really wanted to mention here on my show as well. It fits so well with my subject matter. And that is, but it also was incredibly disappointing to me. You ever heard one of those things that you can't say is surprising? And in fact, there are times, you look back and say, no, I can't honestly say I'm surprised by this at all. But at the same time, notwithstanding the fact that it's somewhat intuitive, it's still disappointing. And that is certainly true of this statistic. And that is that in an Indy Star article, and the context of the article was reporting on a kid, a North Central High School student who got arrested this past week. And he was arrested for possession of a gun on school property and various other charges because someone saw in this kid's waistband, in the back waistband of his pants, saw that he was carrying a gun in school and called police. And police came up, and I'll tell you what, I applaud IMPD based on the reports I saw of this episode, because the kid was not cooperative when police first approached him, apparently in a classroom, and they wanted to see his hands. He wouldn't show his hands. At one point, he actually reached for the back of his waistband, where this gun reportedly was. And IMPD showed, in my mind, remarkable restraint because they did not shoot this kid. He ended up shoving him up against a blackboard and finding in his back waistband not only a Glock 19, probably one of the more common guns in America, if not the most common handgun, but beyond that, it was a Glock 19 that had been modified with a so-called Glock switch to make it fully automatic. And then, as often goes with these people who like to carry illegally modified machine guns, and yes, that's not hyperbole, that's exactly what a Glock switch converts a handgun into being. He also, as is done consistently with those guns, had a 33-round magazine in it. And those aren't particularly unusual. You can go to the gun store and buy a Glock 33-round magazine. How you conceal one of those, in my mind, is a whole other question. But so the Indy Star ran an article about this arrest, and my first thought again was to applaud IMPD for the restraint. And this kid is in my mind, based on the reports I saw in the Indy Star article, remarkably lucky he doesn't have a bunch of holes in him. But secondly, in the context of this particular arrest, the IMPD reported that the most common arrest of juveniles last year in Marion County, most common arrest, and I'm listening during the show, Hammer Nigel yesterday, to Nigel starting that sentence, and my mind did not immediately go to guns. He said the most common arrest of juveniles was unlawful possession of a gun, of a firearm. And again, I was disappointed, and I can't say surprised. It would probably make me naive given the news of the number of armed juveniles running around downtown and elsewhere in Marion County. But it still just made me shake my head. Now, I'm an old guy. I'm in my 60s. But if you ask me when I was in junior high and high school, let's say early in high school, before you turn 18, the people my age that I was running around with, the other kids running around with, if you told me so-and-so got arrested, I'd be thinking, well, they got picked up for truancy for not going to school, or they shoplifted something out of the Hook's drugstore or the Airway. Right? I'll go back and name some old convenience stores, or five and dime kind of Woolworths. He stole a squirt gun out of Woolworths. That would have been one of the first things came to my mind. Now in high school, I went to high school in the 70s, so there was a lot of marijuana running around. And so wouldn't be unusual somebody to get arrested if they're caught with pot. Okay. But marijuana, and of course, underage drinking, what they call illegal consumption by a minor. So you got underage drinking, maybe marijuana is something pretty severe back then, even though it was very common. Shoplifting, truancy. The idea of illegal possession of a gun. Now, this is also a time when you saw hunting rifles and hunting shotguns in the back of people's pickup truck windows in racks, and nobody thought much about it. And so maybe laws, especially gun-free school zones and other laws restricting gun ownership, maybe all that maybe there were more of those laws on the books. I couldn't give you a timeline on every one of those laws. I know the laws well. I couldn't tell you when they were all enacted. Or maybe just through changes in society, more of those are enforced, and probably a combination thereof. But it would have never crossed my mind if you asked me what anybody, not just the people I ran around with, other people were just in my school. And I went to Carmel. I went all the way from kindergarten all the way through high school in Carmel. What somebody would have been arrested for, a gun crime, unlawful possession of a gun, would have been one of the last things I would have ever considered. And lo and behold, Marion County, the number one thing the kids were arrested for. Disappointing to me, yet, as I mentioned, probably not surprising. With that, let's go ahead and take a break here at the quarter hour. Come back on the Shift Gears. We're going to talk more about crime statistics because a uniform crime report from the FBI just came out, as well as some new numbers coming out of Marion County on homicides and whatnot here in central Indiana. We'll talk about each of those. And I want to talk about where I think those numbers came from to some degree, what has contributed to those numbers to a large degree, and where we see things going from here. But right now we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
In Indiana, you need two things from your news station. What's happening?
A man is arrested after police say he pointed a gun at a teenager's head.
A fight broke out in Speedway on Sunday, and then a gun was pulled.
And what's coming?
This has been an ongoing line of heavy thunderstorms that has prompted the severe thunderstorm warnings across the entire city of Indianapolis.
The entire Fox 59 news team and the Weather Authority are now part of 93 WIBC, bringing you both. Stay in the know while you're on the go with 93 WIBC.
Guy Relford for Jake Miller Plumbing. Jake Miller Plumbing wants to be your plumber for life. They offer fast service, fair prices, and family values. Jake Miller Plumbing is a trusted family-owned residential plumbing company serving central Indiana. For 25 years, Jake and his team have built a business around honest work, dependable service, and long-term relationships with homeowners. Listen, they earned their status as my plumber for life when they replaced a sump pump during a torrential rainstorm. I was thrilled they did. They not only replaced my pump, but installed a quality backup battery-powered system so I won't lose my sump pump even in a power outage. You can contact them through jakemillerplumbing.com or give them a call, 317-861-8334. Jake Miller Plumbing wants to be your plumber for life. Again, you can contact them through the website. It's jakemillerplumbing.com.
This back-to-school season, we know you have enough on your mind. That's why Hubler Toyota's got you and your family covered with the best warranty around on new Toyotas. And we want you to spend less on back-to-school. So right now, lease a new 2026 Camry LE, $289 per month. Just $289. Plus, choose from Corollas, Tacomas, RAV4s, Tundras, and more. 'Cause Hubler's got you covered. For 200,000 miles on new Toyotas at Hubler Toyota, 8055 US 31 South in Indianapolis, or visit HublerToyota.com. Spend less on back to school. New Camrys, $289 per month. Cover me! Select models, approved credit, plus tax, tag, title, license, and 249 dealer doc included. Model 2559, 36 months, 4248.2. Zero security, 10,000 annual miles, 15 cents per mile thereafter. Ends 9726.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Get great deals next weekend at the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show next Saturday and Sunday at Stout Field in Indianapolis. The best dealers in the region will be at the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show. Admission is just $6 for adults, and kids 12 and under get in free. Attendees must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. Next Saturday, 9 to 5 and Sunday, 9 to 3. Get directions and see upcoming events and more at CentralIndianaGunShows.com. That's CentralIndianaGunShows.com. Life is expensive enough as it is. Your shower doesn't need to be. Switch to Suave Men 2-in-1 Body and Face Wash and realize the same clean as other brands for less. 80% of men agree Suave cleans just as well as the leading brands for half the price or less. Made right here in the USA. You know the difference between paying for quality and paying for a fancy bottle. Suave Men is quality without the unnecessary extras. Check out Suave Men 2-in-1 Body and Face Wash at Walmart for less than $5. What are you waiting for? Same clean, less cash.
In a recent survey of 123,000 wireless customers, Pure Talk was the only wireless company to receive 5 stars in every category: coverage, support, value, and data. What else do you need to know? Switch to Pure Talk today and get any plan, including their top shelf unlimited data plan, for just $15 a month for your first 3 months. No contract, no commitment. Dial pound 250, say micro, and let Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team help you make the switch.
The Phone Ready quiz from the American Academy of Pediatrics will help you decide if you and your child are ready for their first phone. Go to healthychildren.org/phone ready quiz. Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. By the way, we've got a little bit of an abbreviated show tonight. We're going to end at 6:30 rather than our normal 7 o'clock. The reason being WIBC is going to broadcast the Fever WNBA game. I think those usually are broadcast on the Fan, but sometimes there are contractual conflicts where WIBC needs to back up one of those. So the Indiana Fever are playing tonight, and that coverage starts at 6:30 here on WIBC. So I'll be out of here just a bit early. But as I mentioned, IMPD came out with some mid-year statistics on violent crime in Marion County. And the numbers are dramatic improvements from last year. And these are, just so you know, we're comparing here, or IMPD was comparing apples to apples. They're comparing the first 6 months of 2026 with the first 6 months of 2025. And then also they had a chart, and this was in an Indy Star article as well, that compared the first 6 months of several previous years. And just year to year, comparing the first 6 months, 25 to 26, homicides in Marion County are actually down 22%. Non-fatal shootings, down 35.2%. Those are criminal shootings, but did not result in someone's death. And then robberies down almost 33%. And that's just 25 to 26. If you go back to 2020, the first 6 months of 2026, homicides are actually half of what they were during the first 6 months of 2020. And again, non-fatal shootings are down something like 60%. from just 2022. So those numbers show dramatic improvement. Now, as we always say when we start quoting numbers like this, you're still talking a lot of people. There are 82 criminal homicides in the first 6 months of 2026. That's compared to 105 last year, 130 in 2024, 140 in 2023, 139 in 2022, and 169 in 2021. Again, half this year compared to 2021, and then 2020, 146. Again, compared to 82 this year. Now, 82 people losing their life in a 6-month period in one county is probably not something to do a whole lot of high fives over. But compared to some of those earlier numbers, obviously that's a dramatic improvement. And when I saw these numbers, I said, okay, interesting. Some thoughts came to my mind about why that may likely be. But then I thought, oh, hold on. I wonder where we are on the national numbers. Because right about this time every year, the FBI releases its Uniform Crime Report, where it talks about crime across the country. And they break those down, including murders and other violent crimes. And I said, you know what? I've seen some forecasts, but I hadn't seen the actual numbers. So I went digging to see if the same kind of improvements that we saw in Marion County, we may have experienced nationwide. And lo and behold, the Uniform Crime Report had just been released on August 14th, a couple of days before I went looking for these numbers. Nationally, in just 1 year, murder and manslaughter offenses decreased by over 18%. Just year to year, 26 to 25. Rapes down almost 8%. Aggravated assault down 7%. Robbery offenses down 18.5%. But get this, this is something that we should all be looking at and does bear, I don't know about celebration, but it does bear acknowledgement. And that is the 2025 murder rate. This is per capita, was 4.1 per 100,000 inhabitants in this country. 4.1 per 100,000. You think, okay, is that a high number? Is it a low number? Get this. Since the FBI began tracking these numbers in 1938, 4.1 per 100,000 people as the rate is tied with 1955 and 1956 for the lowest murder rate ever in recorded history. Lowest murder rate ever in recorded history. Now, that's not total number of homicides, obviously, because the population has increased. But in terms of rate per inhabitants, tied with 2 years in the 50s for the lowest ever. Now, as you might guess, being the guy who does what I do for a living, both as an instructor and a Second Amendment lawyer and somebody who founded a Second Amendment rights organization, my mind pretty quickly started shifting to the fact that, say, in the same time we've seen those declines, in the 21-22 time frame to the current, where literally you're looking from 2021 anyway, half the number of homicides in Marion County in the first 6 months. A 20% decline in national homicides, almost. It's 18.1. Just 25 to 26. And that continues a downward trend that's also been going on since 2021. Significant declines. Well, here in Indiana, what happened in 2022? We passed constitutional carry. And listen, I'm smart enough to know that there are two very separate things as between a correlation and causation. Right? I wasn't great at statistics that I took in college, mandatorily, because I was a double major in political science and psychology, and the only way I could end up with a psychology degree is if I took statistics. And I took statistics kicking and screaming because math has never been my strong suit. All the way going back to junior high grade school. Certainly in high school, math was not my strongest subject. I pretty much rocked everything else. Math did not come easy to me. And so I was not great in statistics, but I passed it. And one of the things I was able to garner out of my statistics class is that you cannot attribute a correlation as being a cause. And I completely get that. The fact that two things happen in the same time doesn't mean one thing caused the other one. I woke up and put a yellow shirt on today and it was raining. Well, I don't think my putting the yellow shirt on caused it to rain. It happened at the same time. But when you start getting a trend, you start getting a large number of data points and you can track them over time. You start getting closer to drawing some conclusions, or at least some informed speculation, let's call it, about whether you're transitioning from correlation to causation. And one thing that we have seen in the time frame we're talking about, one, we passed constitutional carry here in Indiana. And listen, don't think I don't get some satisfaction. Make no mistake about hearkening back to the committee hearings that we had over 10 years trying to get constitutional carry passed. Because what did we hear? What did we hear from? We heard from some police officers, certainly. Now, they were typically political appointees. They were chiefs or assistant chiefs, or in one case, the state police superintendent, who came in and they predicted murder and mayhem around every corner. Blood in the streets. How many times do we hear that? Blood in the streets. You're going to have all these illegal people carrying guns. These violent felons are all going to carry guns because we're going to have constitutional carry, and it's going to dramatically increase murders and other shooting offenses across Indiana, and it was going to be right there on our doorstep because we were going to pass or advocating for passing constitutional carry. And we heard people absolutely adamant about that. And it's 5:30. I'll tell you, at the bottom of the hour, let's take a break. I'll come back and I'm going to talk about some of my responses to some of those arguments. And then look at, again, certainly the correlation between not only passing constitutional carry and the fact that there are now 29 states with constitutional carry, many of whom have adopted constitutional carry, many of which, I should say, have adopted constitutional carry in the exact time frame from 2020 to today when these dramatic decreases nationwide have occurred. Dramatic decreases, year to year to year to year, to the point where we just tied the lowest homicide rate ever in recorded history, and wait till you hear the projection for 2026 from statisticians who have a long track history of getting these things pretty damn right. Wait till you hear the 2026 estimation. What not only has constitutional carry done, but what has gun ownership done? The number of people carrying guns on a daily basis. How have those numbers changed over the exact same time frame where we've seen these dramatic decreases in violent crime, including homicides? Now we're going to get into all of that, as well as take your calls. I think somebody was just calling a little earlier, but we will take your call. Give us a call, 317-239-9393, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
As America celebrates 250 years, WIBC takes you inside the moments that built a nation.
The Spirit of 76, a 1-minute look at this day in the Revolution. The battles, debates, and turning points that transformed a collection of colonies into these United States.
Weekday mornings at 7:35 and 11:35, and afternoons at 3:35 and 6:35, or anytime on demand at WIBC.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years guaranteed? Now through August 24th, new Xfinity customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, it keeps you protected from online threats. And get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
Babbel proudly presents The Poison Gift.
Derek, hi.
Hi, I got you something. Ein bisschen Gift.
Gift? Ist das Gift?
Ja, ist das Gift. Für dich.
If you buy her a gift, don't tell her it's poison. Use Babbel. Practice with Babbel's guided conversations based on real situations. Get up to 50% off on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Leon was about to leave the military.
My biggest concern was, what am I going to do next?
He found out about My Computer Career and their military transition program.
The Cyber Warrior program takes you from not knowing anything about a computer at all to being a subject matter expert.
How long is that going to take?
In the span of 4 months, I was able to get 4 different certifications.
4 months? Leon's advice?
Highly recommended.
Become a certified cyber warrior in just months at mycomputercareer.edu. This is one student's experience. Individual results vary. VA education benefits available to those who qualify.
Canada is promising to retaliate against President Trump's 50% tariffs, which will hit about 5% of what Canada ships to the U.S. every year. The Supreme Court says construction on the new White House ballroom can continue for the time being.
It's going to be the greatest of its kind anywhere that's ever been built, and it's something that presidents have wanted to be built for over 150 years.
The president had an appearance Friday in South Carolina. Hawaii is preparing for more rough weather. Another tropical storm is on course to at least brush the Big Island a week after Lala sideswept, causing considerable problems. America's listening to Fox News.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIPC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. talking about constitutional carry and gun ownership. I'm going to go through some of those numbers. I'm sure you know the generalities. Gun ownership is at an all-time high in the United States generally, in Indiana specifically. Indiana, by the way, ranks number 1 in the percentage of adults that have a license to carry handgun, as we call it in Indiana. Now, you compare that to concealed carry permit or CCW, CCPs, all the various terminology we apply to licenses or permits to carry a handgun in different states. But in terms of whatever you want to call it, a license or a permit to carry a handgun, Indiana ranks number 1 in the ratio of adults who have a license to carry. Now, with 29 states having constitutional carry, having a license doesn't necessarily tell you how many people actually carry, since people can carry without a license, or you can have a license and not carry. But we saw a recent survey and another study done by our friends at the Crime Prevention Research Center and John R. Lott Jr., Dr. John R. Lott Jr., who's, in my mind, the premier crime statistician in the world, certainly in the United States. And we have some data on people who actually carry on a consistent basis, either every day or consistently. And we'll go through those numbers. Interesting to me. But I do want to harken back because, at least for now, and listen, numbers can always change. And there could be a lot of factors contributing to these reductions that we're seeing in homicides and other violent crimes. But one thing we know is that constitutional carry here in Indiana, when it passed, or the fact that we have 29 states across the entire country, the majority of states in this country have constitutional carry. And all of the mayhem that was predicted by those who opposed us on constitutional carry, and the blood in the streets, and, the wild, wild west was the term I kept hearing. You're going to turn it into the wild, wild west. Everybody's going to have a gun, and the murder rate's going to skyrocket. However much we want to talk about causation and correlation and contributing factors, whatever terminology you want to use in that context, one thing we know is those predictions did not come true. And what I said all along, consistently, and I don't know how many times I testified in committees, and had meetings and had radio shows and did interviews in the media for other media outlets, how many times I said, no, when more law-abiding citizens have the capacity to defend themselves, and even more importantly, when more and more bad guys or people who might be inclined to be bad guys know that law-abiding citizens, and more of them than ever before, are carrying guns, less people will be inclined to be bad guys. And the deterrence factor of more and more people legally carrying guns, who all are otherwise would be victims of violent criminals, the deterrence factor is exactly what we're after here. Because deterrence is always better. When it comes to violence, deterrence is always better, even than winning, right? You win every fight you don't participate in. You certainly win every gunfight you don't participate in. But at the end of the day, the combination of deterrence and the actual physical ability to defend oneself, yes, with violent and deadly force if necessary, in my mind, logically would always drive homicide numbers down. Murder, that is illegal homicide, numbers down. And certainly, in terms of the years we're talking about, that is exactly what happened. And I love looking back on those hearings where people were wagging their fingers at us, literally wagging their fingers at us. You just don't care about blood in the streets. You're here as part of the gun lobby. You care more about gun profits than you do about lives of innocent people in the streets that are going to get murdered because you're going to get constitutional carry passed. Or if perchance you happen to get it passed, there's going to be blood in your hands. I heard it over and over again. I still see it on social media. Because idiots don't understand that that's not what has happened since 2022 when we passed it in Indiana, and it's certainly not as what has happened nationally since we've now reached numbers that exceed half the states in this country having constitutional carry. I remember one particular exchange that I had. I got challenged by actually a Republican, got to put Republican in quotes, who said, well, if we don't have a license, then more illegal people, more people who are not legally able to carry guns are going to carry guns. And if they're carrying those guns, then they're more likely to commit crimes. So more criminals, violent criminals carrying guns is going to be the result of constitutional carry, and those people are going to be committing more crimes. We're going to see more murders, and there'll be blood in the streets. I said, okay, hold on. Let's think this through logically here. Because carrying a handgun without a license, the crime that existed at the time before we passed constitutional carry, that was a Class A misdemeanor. And so I said, so what you're saying is that you believe this hypothetical would actually unfold. You're saying that, let's say I'm a drug dealer and I'm in a turf battle with my rival drug dealer. And I've decided I'm going to go murder my rival drug dealer in a drive-by shooting. And I formulate the plan. I know where he's going to be at a certain time. He's going to be on his typical corner dealing drugs. I'm going to drive by and I'm going to blow him away with my gun. I'm going to commit murder. And I'm not afraid of a murder charge, which means I'm not afraid of 60 years in prison. Or with aggravating circumstances, life in prison, potentially the death penalty with aggravating circumstances. So I'm not afraid of life in prison, or at least 60 years in prison, because I'm angry. I'm going to kill my rival drug dealer. So I'm leaving the house to go commit murder because I'm not afraid of 60 years in prison or life in prison or the death penalty. And just before I walk out the door, I'm going to say, hold on, wait a minute. I can't possibly take a handgun to commit this murder because I don't have a license, which means I could get a Class A misdemeanor conviction, which would land me up to and including a whole year in jail. And in fact, for a Class A misdemeanor, more likely just probation. So someone who's not afraid of a murder charge and life in prison is going to suddenly say, no, hold on, I can't get a misdemeanor. I better leave my gun at home. People who are fighting against us on constitutional carry would have you believe that's a plausible possibility. Of course, that's ridiculous. We know that wouldn't happen. And they say, well, you're going to have juveniles carrying guns. Well, hold on. Juveniles can't lawfully carry a gun under constitutional carry. You have to be 18. Well, 18 is pretty young. I'm not sure we should allow constitutional carry at 18. You can get a license to carry at 18, as you have for generations here in Indiana. So nothing about that changes. And if you're not 18, you can't carry under constitutional carry, just like you couldn't get a license. Either way, if you're not 18, you're unlawfully carrying a gun. And if you're willing to unlawfully carry because you don't have a license, then that makes no difference if you're also willing to carry unlawfully under constitutional carry. You can't blame constitutional carry for a crime that would have been committed anyway. So none of it made sense. But let's pause there. We'll take a break. We will take your calls, 317-239-9393. But let's talk about not only the fact we have constitutional carry in this exact time frame when we've seen these violent crime statistics plummet. But what has gun ownership done? Let's take a look at those numbers. We'll do that when we come back. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
In Indiana, you need two things from your news station. What's happening?
A man is arrested after police say he pointed a gun at a teenager's head.
A fight broke out in Speedway on Sunday, and then a gun was pulled.
And what's coming?
This has been an ongoing line of heavy thunderstorms that has prompted the severe thunderstorm warnings across the entire city of Indianapolis.
The entire Fox 59 News team and the Weather Authority are now part of 93 WIBC, bringing you both. Stay in the know while you're on the go with 93 WIBC.
Being blind doesn't look how others may think.
Retinitis pigmentosa aimed to overwhelm my family.
It tried to cut me down. I know where to find support.
Donate today at fightingblindness.org. A public service message from the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our next Essentials of Indiana gun law class has now been scheduled for Saturday, October 3rd. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. It's going to be at Indy Arms. They're on 55th Street on the north side of Indianapolis. We'd love to see you there. This is 5 hours of the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. It's just $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We include a detailed discussion of the law of self-defense in Indiana, including the justifiable and legal use of force, including deadly force in self-defense. That and a whole heck of a lot more over 5 hours. 9 to 2, October 3rd. We'd love to see you there. You can register right online. It's tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
You know, buying a house, selling a house, going to be one of the biggest financial transactions of your life. Let somebody who knows what they're doing handle it for you. The real estate expert, Mark Dietl. He did it for David in Martinsville. David bought their dream property, had to sell their old place with the land at the end of the year to avoid a big tax hit. Yeah, they had an agent friend that gave him no activity for months, so they turned to Mark Dietl to save him. Mark's team took over and got their property sold in plenty of time.
Mark Dietl's the best in the business because Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. That's right, he will buy it. You pick the move date, no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Call Mark Dietl today, 317-755-4232, or go to markdietl.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietl.com.
At My Eye Doctor, we're here to help you see your best and find your style. Whether you need new contacts, an updated prescription, or designer frames, your local My Eye Doctor team will help you find the right fit. And because your vision can change over time, annual eye exams are an important part of protecting your long-term eye health. We welcome all insurance plans, and for a limited time, get a complete pair of glasses starting at just $95. Visit myeyedr.com to schedule your eye exam today.
Set sail for a night of smooth hits and good vibes. Yacht Rock Review is coming to Ruoff Music Center on Saturday, September 12th. Get your tickets now at WIBC.com.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. We're thrilled you're here talking about really good numbers in terms of a dramatic decrease. And it's been pretty linear now for a number of years, going back to at least to 2021, 2020, and how much those numbers have dropped on violent crime in the U.S., including right here in Indiana. And, again, whenever I think about this subject, I always remember the first time the NRA came to Indianapolis for its annual meeting. And I remember they had protests going on from Moms Demand Action or Everytown for Gun Safety. They're kind of subgroups of the same organization. And they had these signs that they had pre-printed, and they were all waving these signs around, protesting the NRA. They were restricted to one particular park that you walked by, depending on where you were coming from. You would walk by this little park where they were all protesting on your way to the convention center to go to the NRA annual meeting. But the sign they were all waving around said, "More guns, more crime." And it was immediately funny in the context of the NRA annual meeting itself, because you had approximately 75,000 people, the vast majority of whom are armed, right in downtown Indianapolis. And for the annual meetings of NRA we've had here, the IMPD will tell you, the rank and file street officers who are willing to discuss such things will tell you that they're typically the only weekends we ever get through in Indianapolis, where we go the whole 3 or 4 days of a long weekend in this context with 0 shootings in Indianapolis. So it was always hilarious to me. More guns, more crime. Really? Well, you got 75,000 armed people within about arm's reach of you right now. and there are never any shootings during the NRA annual meeting. Too funny. But if that's also true, and just like the hand waving that went on over constitutional carry, oh my God, we're blood in the streets. Well, okay. Well, what about increased gun ownership across the U.S. generally? Oh, it's got to lead to more crime, right? More guns, more crime. That's what the gun control people are telling us all the time, every opportunity. Well, what have those numbers done? Well, as anybody knows who pays any attention at all, there's a complete record number of people who own guns in this country as of this year. And it goes up significantly every year. Today, about 30% of the entire U.S. population owns a gun, current estimate. That is up to 111 million Americans who own firearms. Now, that's 30% of the total U.S. population. If you look at the total U.S. population of 350 million is what I typically hear. But of those, number I just pulled up, 258 are actually adults, 18 and over. So if you're looking at 111 million Americans who own firearms, and there are 258 adults, you're talking about 43% of the population owns guns. And there are actually more guns than people. There's an estimated 400 to 500 million privately owned firearms in this country. So not police, not military, in the hands of private citizens. It's about 2 guns per adult. Right in that neighborhood. And that's an all-time high. And the numbers have increased significantly in the same time frame we're talking about, 2020 to current. And I'll tell you what, we're the end of hour number 1. Let's go ahead and take a break here. We'll come back and continue this discussion and take your calls. If you are on the line, we'll get to you. 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
This back-to-school season, we know you have enough on your mind. That's why Hubler's got you and your family covered for 100,000 miles. Shop over 2,000 vehicles at any of our 13 convenient locations. Buy with 0 down. Choose from all makes and models. Certified, luxury, even the hard-to-find ones. Yes, 0 down delivers. Plus, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. Bring us your old car for an immediate appraisal. On on the spot. So head back to school in a Hubler Q-certified vehicle with a free Carfax history report and a 128-point vehicle inspection. 'Cause Hubler's got you covered. For 100,000 miles, visit drivehubler.com or any of our 13 convenient locations and spend less on back to school. Zero down delivers at Hubler. Cover me! Select models, approved credit. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Get great deals next weekend at the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show next Saturday and Sunday at Stout Field in Indianapolis. The best dealers in the region will be at the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show. Admission is just $6 for adults, and kids 12 and under get in free. Attendees must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade. Next Saturday, 9 to 5 and Sunday, 9 to 3. Get directions and see upcoming events and more at CentralIndianaGunShows.com. That's CentralIndianaGunShows.com.
If you're looking for unique, one-of-a-kind jewelry, you need a unique, one-of-a-kind store. That's PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg. PA Jewelers is known for fine vintage and modern jewelry. So if you have estate pieces, that stuff from grandma, things that have been sitting in the jewelry box and need a new home, go to PA Jewelers in Brownsburg, where they purchase from one piece to an entire estate or collection. PA Jewelers in Brownsburg. 317-456-4010 or online at pajewelers.jewelry. That's pajewelers.jewelry.
Life is expensive enough as it is. Your shower doesn't need to be. Switch to Suave Men 2-in-1 Body and Face Wash and realize the same clean as other brands for less. 80% of men agree Suave cleans just as well as the leading brands for half the price or less. Made right here in the USA. You know the difference between paying for quality and paying for a fancy bottle. Suave Men is quality without the unnecessary extras. Check out Suave Men 2-in-1 Body and Face Wash at Walmart for less than $5. What are you waiting for? Same clean, less cash.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
Trust is earned. That's why I've stuck with Straight Talk. Same price since 2009 on Verizon's 5G network. Cause shoot, anyone can make a promise. Keeping it for years, that means something.
Now plans starting at $25 a month with 4 lines. Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Same price claim applies only to the base monthly price of our $45 plan from October 2009 to present.
From the Price Point Comfort Mitsubishi Electric Studios, this is 93 WIBC HD1 Indianapolis.
Exercises costly and cited his personal relationship with Kim Jong-un.
The fact that I get along with him, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. He has 57 very powerful nuclear weapons.
The president also linked his decision to South Korea's refusal to support the U.S. effort against Iran. Seoul is now suggesting it could become involved in the Middle East if it means shoring up American military support back home. North Korea said Wednesday it still sees the scaled-back drills as a provocation and denied any contact between Trump and Kim.
That's Fox's Rich Edson. Iran is digging in as tensions continue over the Strait of Hormuz. Fox's Jonathan Hunt in Tel Aviv.
Iran's leaders are issuing new statements hinting at what they claim will be a new post-war order in the Gulf, which could leave the U.S. sidelined. Iran's parliamentary speaker, Mohammad Ghalibaf, writing on X, quote, "We've received numerous messages from neighboring countries about shaping new security arrangements and economic cooperation in the region. The United States put the security of every single one of its allies at such risk through bullying and pure disregard for their interests for the sake of Israel." But the president, Masoud Pezeshkian, for instance, said that it might be time to, quote, end the war.
The U.S. is expected to announce new economic sanctions against Iran on Monday. Pope Leo making another appeal for peace and dialogue while speaking to tens of thousands in the small Italian city of Rimini. He urged Christians to act with mercy. America's listening to Fox News.
Fox News Books has boasted a host of bestsellers. Now, Fox News Books enters the world of podcasting. This season, the Fox News Books podcast presents The Miracles Among Us. For its first season, Fox News Books will present this special podcast brought to you by the author, Fox News senior medical analyst, Dr. Mark Siegel. The Miracles Among Us on the Fox News Books podcast. Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download podcasts.
Hello,
everyone. This is Ainsley Earhart. Thank you for joining me for the 52-episode podcast series, The Life of Jesus.
Neil McDonough portrays Jesus. Stacey Keach, Sean Astin, Michael York, and Kristen Bell provide the voices for some of Jesus' notable followers. A listening experience that will provide hope, comfort, and understanding of the greatest story ever told, The Life of Jesus.
Make sure to spread the word.
Listen and follow now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Totaling up the damage, I'm Ryan Hedrick, and here's what's trending this hour. Indiana's congressional delegation pushing the White House for more help, urging President Trump and FEMA to issue a major disaster declaration for the state.
It'll be compared to things like Katrina, North Carolina, Mystic Camp near Kerrville, Texas. When you have pictures of our floods being seen on TV for up to a week, that doesn't happen very often.
Governor Mike Braun, in a letter Friday night, the delegates say Indiana has seen multiple weather-related deaths since August 11th. More than 1,000 families forced from their homes and hundreds of thousands of people have been without power. The governor says damage to property could range anywhere from $550 to $5 billion. Gunshots reported on the west side of Indianapolis on Friday night, right before midnight, and a person hit right near West Ohio and North Addison Streets. They're still looking for the person that shot him. Jurors not agreeing on a final verdict in the rape trial against a former IU student named Noah Apgar ended in a deadlocked jury on Friday. Apgar accused of raping 2 women at the university in 24.
This is a high-profile case. It's one that's been dragging out for, now almost 2 years. So this is something that the prosecutor's office has probably focused on a lot. They will more than likely retry this.
Attorney Mario Masalamani. I'm Ryan Hedrick, on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. Now your forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
For tonight, partly cloudy. There is a chance for a patchy fog to develop overnight with a low near 61. And for tomorrow, partly cloudy skies with a very weak shower chance in place. It will be slightly cooler. I am Fox 59 meteorologist Amber Hardwick for 93 WIBC.
This back-to-school season, we know you have enough on your mind. That's why Hubler Toyota's got you and your family covered with the best warranty around on new Toyotas. And we want you to spend less on back to school. So right now, lease a new 2026 Camry LE, $289 per month. Just $289. Plus, choose from Corollas, Tacomas, RAV4s, Tundras, and more. 'Cause Hubler's got you covered. For 200,000 miles on new Toyotas at Hubler Toyota. 8055 US 31 South in Indianapolis. Or visit HublerToyota.com. Spend less on back to school. New Camrys, $289 per month. Cover me! Select models, approved credit, plus tax, tag, title, license, and 249 dealer doc included. Model 2559, 36 months, 4248.2. Zero security, 10,000 annual miles, 15 cents per mile thereafter. Ends 9/7/26.
Planning for retirement? It's a little like marriage. We have no idea what we're getting into. Tune in to Fire Your Financial Advisor, Sunday mornings at 7 on WIBC.
No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
Now, welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. So we're talking about a really dramatic decrease in crimes at the national level, and right here in Marion County, where I'm broadcasting from, in Indiana. What gets real interesting is when you start looking at 2026, because again, 2025, this is according to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, probably the most comprehensive, well, undoubtedly the most comprehensive report on crime, including violent crime in the U.S., comes out every year. And as I reported in the first hour, 2025 tied a record going back to 1956 and 1955 for lowest murder rate in recorded history since FBI's been keeping statistics going back to 1938. 4.1 murders per 100,000 people. Tied an all-time record. But then we start looking at 2026, and there's a guy, another statistician. This guy's name's Jeff Asher, and he does a blog. He's out there on social media as well under Jeffalytics. And Jeff Asher is a respected statistician, I should say, as well. He's not quite up there in stature, Dr. John R. Lott, but he is known to be right, especially on projections. For instance, I was reading an article from Jeff Asher that correctly predicted the 4.1 million, which is going to come very close to setting an all-time new low murder rate in the U.S. In fact, it tied for lowest. He predicted that 4.1 number more than 6 months ago. So the guy has some credibility. Well, he's been looking at the numbers for 2026 based on available data. And here he says something very interesting. And even before the numbers were released for 2025 here just a bit ago, he had an article where he said the 2025 murder rate should come in at between 4.1 and 4.4 per 100,000. Well, he was exactly right on that. Here's his projection, and this is just a little bit ago, because again, the Uniform Crime Report from the FBI just came out on the 14th of August. He says the 2026 murder rate, based on current projections, should come in at an astonishing 3 to 3.8 per 100,000, based on the currently available data. He says, could that change? Yes, possibly. But also, while it could possibly change, we still know, based on current data, that 2026 will be substantially lower than anything we've ever recorded in the United States. Almost certainly that will happen. He's talking about between 3 and 3.8 in 2026. You're talking about another dramatic drop from this year when we also set a record. So again, when we're seeing these incredibly low numbers, or at least dramatic decreases, and listen, 3 or 3.8 or 4.1 per 100,000, is that still too many? Of course. But you still have to say it's heading in the right direction, and dramatically so. 18% in just 1 year, 24 to 25, I was trying to say. And it looks like it's going to be a little more than that, 25 to 26. Now we'll see if those numbers hold up or not. At the same time, when you've got record numbers of people having guns. I'm sorry, folks, more guns, more crime, more guns, more murders just doesn't hold up. As I talked about before the break, 400 to 500 privately owned firearms in the country, about 2 per adult. You even look at gender, about 40% of men and about 25% of women. Goes up from that when you narrow it down to adults own firearms. Interesting, Americans aged 50 to 64, that demographic, that age, 50 to 64, report the highest ownership rate, while 18 to 29-year-olds report the least, down around somewhere between 11 and 21%. Not surprising. I think younger people today are probably a little less interested in taking responsibility for their own safety and that of their family. I hope they take a hard look at that going forward. Political affiliations. About 45% of Republicans and about 20% of Democrats own guns. Tell you, the Democrat number, though, is rising as well, as they are across the board. So here we are looking at a prognostication of another dramatic drop next year. It all adds up to the same thing, folks. more and more law-abiding Americans having the ability to defend themselves, the more bad guys know that potential victims are armed, have the capacity to defend themselves, the more the numbers are, I think, without any doubt in my mind, the more those numbers are going to continue to decrease. Are there other factors involved? I'd love to hear theories. I'm sure there are. And whatever's contributing to the decrease in those numbers, I'm glad for it. But I've got my theories, as you might suggest. Let's go ahead and take a break there. We're going to come back and actually wrap up this edition of the Gun Guy Show. By the way, I want to welcome, starting next week, I believe, a new sponsor of the Gun Guy Show. Galaxy Concrete Coatings is going to start also sponsoring the Gun Guy Show, and we're thrilled to have them. If you follow me on social media, especially on Facebook, I have posted pictures. I had my floor done by Galaxy Concrete Coatings, and I tell you what, it's not just an ad, folks. I couldn't possibly be happier. Those pictures speak for themselves. I'll repost them, especially when those ads start running, because I'm happy to endorse that company. But they're going to start next week. I'll tell you what, I put my garage up against anybody's right now. Had it painted, had my Galaxy floor put in. It is phenomenal, incredibly easy to keep clean. I just couldn't be happier. So welcome to Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Start listening for those ads starting next week. Right now, we're taking a break. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
In Indiana, you need two things from your news station. What's happening?
A man is arrested after police say he pointed a gun at a teenager's head.
A fight broke out in Speedway on Sunday, and then a gun was pulled.
And what's coming?
There's been an ongoing line of heavy thunderstorms that has prompted the severe thunderstorm warnings across the entire city of Indianapolis.
The entire Fox 59 news team and the Weather Authority are now part of 93 WIBC, bringing you both. Stay in the know while you're on the go with 93 WIBC.
Galaxy Concrete Coatings. I'm telling you, a new sponsor starting next week. Right now, though, we're still thrilled to have Jake Miller Plumbing as a sponsor of the Gun Guy Show. Jake Miller Plumbing wants to be your plumber for life. They offer fast service, fair prices, and family values. They're a trusted, family-owned residential plumbing company serving central Indiana. For 25 years, Jake and his team have built the business around honest work, dependable service, and long-term relationships with homeowners. I know they saved me by installing a new sump pump when mine failed, my basement was flooding. Not only put in a quality new sump pump, but a great backup battery-powered system so I wouldn't lose my sump even in a power outage. They're my plumber for life. They ought to be your plumber for life as well. You can contact them through the website. It's jakemillerplumbing.com, or give them a call, 317-861-8334. That's 861-8334. or jakemillerplumbing.com.
This back-to-school season, we know you have enough on your mind. That's why Hubler's got you and your family covered for 100,000 miles. Shop over 2,000 vehicles at any of our 13 convenient locations. Buy with zero down. Choose from all makes and models. Certified, luxury, even the hard-to-find ones. Yes, zero down delivers. Plus, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. Bring us your old car for an immediate appraisal on the spot. So head back to school in a Hubler Q-certified vehicle with a free Carfax history report and a 128-point vehicle inspection. 'Cause Hubler's got you covered. For 100,000 miles, visit drivehubler.com or any of our 13 convenient locations and spend less on back to school. Zero down delivers at Hubler. Cover me! Select models, approved credit. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Life is expensive enough as it is. Your shower doesn't need to be. Switch to Suave Men 2-in-1 Body and Face Wash and realize the same clean as other brands for less. 80% of men agree Suave cleans just as well as the leading brands for half the price or less. Made right here in the USA. You know the difference between paying for quality and paying for a fancy bottle. Suave Men is quality without the unnecessary extras. Check out Suave Men 2-in-1 Body and Face Wash at Walmart for less than $5. What are you waiting for? Same clean, less cash.
Your air conditioner has been working hard all summer. If it's moving air through dusty ductwork, well, your house may not feel as fresh as it should. After all, the air has to travel through something. Now's the perfect time to have my friends at Zerorez clean your air ducts before another season begins. During August, take 20% off all air duct services and products. Call 317-388-5141 or visit ZeroResIndy.com and be sure and ask for that WIBC special at ZeroResIndy.com.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Batter up, Indiana. From home runs to hometown fun, the Indiana State Fair is knocking summer out of the park.
It's the final weekend of your Indiana State Fair. Spend the day and experience all the free, fun fair things to do, including the food, the rides, the animals, the exhibits. Oh my, there's something for everyone. Grab tickets online and see you at the fair.
The Indiana State Fair, always a hit. Presented by the Indianapolis Indians.
Overcoming drug addiction is difficult. The road to recovery is different for everyone. Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Indy Humane. Find your new best friend today. Visit indyhumane.org.
The Indianapolis Public Library. More than just books. Visit your local branch today.
Now you've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for what will be the last segment here. We got to end a little early because we've got the Indiana Fever. Their game being broadcast here on 93 WIBC. So we're going to wrap up the gun guy just a little bit early. Before we leave gun ownership and how it's dramatically increased, just as violent crime has decreased in the U.S. Coincidence? I think not. But there's another element to this, which is the number of people who carry guns. And as I teased a little bit earlier in the show, Dr. John Arlott Jr. from the Crime Prevention Research Center just does great studies, publishes great data, really awesome information for anybody interested in Second Amendment issues. But he just reported here in a new study that said that the number of Americans, the percentage of Americans who carry handguns regularly, and this is from often to most or all of the time, that number has increased just from December of 2024. It was just under 30%. It was, in December of 24, it was just under 25%. Actually 24.3. So 24.3% December of 2024. And that climbed to July of 2026. So year and a half, 30.9. Almost 7% increase of the number of Americans carrying guns on a regular basis. That went up 7% in a year and a half. That is dramatic. You don't think bad guys have some clue that that's going on? I think that's a big deal. One thing I reported on during Hammer and Nigel when I was co-hosting yesterday, very glad to see that a Portland jury, this is Portland, Oregon. And look, you got to be a little worried on gun issues and self-defense issues in Portland, I would think, with the politics of that city. But there was a burglar who broke into a business. He had bolt cutters in his possession that he used to gain entry. While he's in the building, in the business, he's confronted by the business owner. The guy charges at the business owner with the bolt cutters in his hand. Business owner pulls his gun and shoots the burglar. Burglar did not die. He was just wounded. Hammer Nigel had asked me about this earlier last week, and just yesterday we were happy to report the jury came back and found the business owner not guilty in a civil suit, not liable, I should say, not liable in a civil suit. There was no criminal prosecution. Again, bit of a surprise for Oregon and Portland in particular, but happy to see that not only were there no criminal charges, but the jury found in favor of the business owner in the civil suit for damages, where this guy who broke in as a burglar was suing for $10 million. Now, why is that near and dear to my heart? Well, one, because similar situations that I've been involved in as an attorney where I had represented people who've gotten sued, even though they completely lawfully and justifiably defended themselves or third persons, prompted me to write a new bill in 2019 that was promptly passed that same year in the Indiana General Assembly that gives Indiana the strongest self-defense immunity law in the country. And our law now here in Indiana says if you lawfully and justifiably use force in self-defense and you are not prosecuted for a crime as a result of that use of force, you have complete civil immunity as against anyone alleged to have been damaged or injured or their estate, and assuming they don't survive, you have complete civil immunity. You simply can't be sued for that. If someone says, damn the torpedoes, and files a lawsuit anyway, you can use the fact that you were not prosecuted for a crime in order to get that case dismissed early. And this is the best part. There's a mandatory award of attorney's fees and costs as against the knucklehead who files the lawsuit on behalf of a bad guy who was injured by his victim, who simply defended themselves. Big deal, great development. We're glad for the change in law in Indiana. Wish that was the law in Portland and Oregon, because I guarantee you that case would have never gotten as far as it did. That's going to wrap us up for this week's edition of The Gun Guy Show. We'll see you next week. Remember, always be safe and always shoot straight. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
As America celebrates 250 years, WIBC takes you inside the moments that built a nation.
The Spirit of 76. A 1-minute look at this day in the Revolution. The battles, debates, and turning points that transformed a collection of colonies into these United States.
Weekday mornings at 7:35 and 11:35, and afternoons at 3:35 and 6:35, or anytime on demand at WIBC.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is the Indiana Fever pregame show on the Old National Bank Radio Network.
Ways to save. Listen up, Fever fans. This is the money saving scoop from Citizens Energy Group. Turn off the faucet while brushing your teeth to save water.
This is the Indiana Fever pregame show on the Old National Bank Radio Network.
Hello from Brooklyn, where tonight the Indiana Fever visit the New York Liberty. In case you missed it, the Fever are heading to the playoffs for the third year in a row. Indiana clinched their spot in the WNBA playoffs with the Portland Fire losing to the Toronto Tempo late last night. So now, with 7 games to go in the regular season, it's a matter of battling for seeding, and that makes tonight all the more critical. The Fever are 23-14, fourth in the standings, while the Liberty are 22-15 in sixth, 2 games back of the Fever. With that, we say hello, hi everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you, wherever you may be and however you may be listening, whether that's on the radio, for free through the Indiana Fever app, or otherwise streaming online. So glad and appreciative to have you with us. I'm John Nolan, hosting tonight in place of Mick Tidrow, and I'll be on the play-by-play as well later on with analyst Bria Goss. Meanwhile, James Adams is our producer back in downtown Indianapolis, and Gary Jeffries, our engineer here on site inside Barclays Center. We're just behind the scorers table. The lights are dimmed in anticipation of the teams out on the court to warm up. This is best environments in the WNBA. Per usual, plenty of Fever fans are out here, but the Liberty fans show out and show up themselves. And both these teams trying to get back in the win column after a loss last time out. Liberty haven't played since Tuesday. They lost at Chicago 93-86. For the Fever, they're headed to Chicago later tonight after this game. That'll be the 5th and final stop on this 5-game odyssey that has taken them all around the country and even beyond the border up to Toronto earlier in the week. The Fever won there, but then on Thursday night, it was a 91-85 setback at Dallas. Coming up here on our pregame coverage, we'll get you ready for this matchup, the 4th and final one of the season between these teams. The Liberty won the first one here in New York back in June, on June 6th, 83-75, but then twice recently back at Cambridge Fieldhouse, the Fever defeating the Liberty just a little bit more than a month ago. It was 108-88, and then just a week and a half ago, it was a 106-92 victory for Indiana. That was one of their finest shooting performances of the season. Unfortunately, though, for the Fever last time out, a couple nights ago at Dallas, not so much. So before we look ahead further here tonight, let's take a listen back to what went down in Dallas. Greetings from American Airlines Center in downtown Dallas, where tonight the Fever put their 5-game winning streak on the line against the Wing. Caitlin tees up a long 3 and hits. Fever 13, Wings 10. Kelsey 3, right wing, cans it. Mitchell taking it across midcourt this time as Clark cuts off ball, gets it. Right wing, shot fake defended by Agumbawale. Caitlin, little shimmy, driving right lane. Bounce pass, somehow gets to Timpson, who banks it in left of the rim. Caitlin, the maestro, vision like no other. Aaliyah towards the right elbow, picks it up, surveys her options, hands it off to Caitlin. Clark to Boston in the Navy paint. Left-handed shot is good. Caitlin, the QB on the baseline out of bounds to Mitchell, top of the key. Zips it, left block, Timpson scores over the lanky Couir. 5 seconds to go. Clark into Mitchell, layup, good! And number 0 is now number 1. Kelsey Mitchell, the first player in WNBA history to score 20-plus points in more than 20 consecutive games. Beckers misses a bomb at the buzzer, and it's tied at the half. 42-42. Long rebound, Siegrist to Agumbawale. Track meet, no look pass. Siegrist left, blocked by Caitlin. Get out of here! 49-47, Fever with 5:53 to go in the third. Hull 3, can't hit. Billings offensive rebound to a cutting Hull, and she scores! Caitlin carving through traffic to Kelsey. One more. Hull near corner 3. Hallelujah! Hull hits! Clark driving right, skip pass. Mitchell, money from the left wing. The Fever are resilient within 7 with 7:10 to go. 4:38 to go. Becker's left elbow shot. No. Caitlin gets the rebound with momentum. Numbers for Indiana. Behind the back to Billings. Left to the rim. Lays it in. Must score possession for the Fever. Down 85-76. 52 seconds to go. Mitchell and one. Inbound to Caitlin. Passes to Kelsey. Will not attempt a shot. And the final score, Dallas 91, Indiana 85. So now, coming up tonight in New York, the Fever look to turn the page and tip. And just more than 30 minutes from Barclays Center. On the other side, we'll hear from Kelsey Mitchell on her latest milestone, as well as from Lexi Holland head coach Stephanie White on what they felt went wrong a couple nights ago and what they're looking to rectify tonight against the Liberty. All that and more. You're listening to Indiana Fever pregame coverage on the Old National Bank Radio Network.
Ways to save. Listen up, Fever fans. This is the money saving scoop from Citizens Energy Group. Turn off the faucet while brushing your teeth to save water. Toss on a layer before turning up the heat. That'll save you some energy. And always do full loads of laundry. Remember, the more you could serve, the more you could save. Now get out there. Find more ways to save on your bill at citizensenergygroup.com.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Dale's a loser. I play to win. Like early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later.
Sound familiar, Dale?
Bet365. Winning is everything. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Indiana. T&Cs apply. In-app only.
Radio 1 Indianapolis is hiring. We're seeking an assistant accounting manager with a background in accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll. If you have at least 3 years of experience, at least a 2-year degree, and would love the opportunity to work in the broadcast industry, we'd like to hear